The morning sun poured through the thin curtains like a spotlight, falling directly on the unopened wedding invitation that sat on the kitchen counter. Aria Renford had barely slept. Her ex-fiancé, the one who left her without explanation 2 years ago, was getting married and she was invited. She wasn't planning to go. The thought alone twisted something sharp inside her chest. But everything changed the moment she received a message from the groom's sister begging her to attend, with a date. And not just any date, a single dad she'd never met before. Aria had no idea that saying yes would unravel secrets, heal old wounds, and leave her in tears for reasons she never expected. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that remind us how powerful hope can be, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe to Midnight Reports. It helps more than you know. Aria first met Kieran Holt in the park the day before the wedding. She recognized him instantly from the photo she had been sent, a tall man with soft brown eyes and a gentle tiredness that came from years of raising his 8-year-old daughter, Mira, on his own. What struck Aria first was how carefully he knelt to tie Myra's little shoe, the way his voice softened when she tugged his sleeve to show him a drawing she'd made. He wasn't like the men she had known, no arrogance, no facade. Just warmth. She didn't tell him the truth about why she needed a date. She only told him she needed someone by her side, someone kind. And he agreed, not out of pity, but because he understood what it meant to face something painful alone. Still, Aria felt a heaviness following her, the kind that guilt and unanswered questions create. She had never truly healed from her ex, Rowan, leaving without a word. The silence had damaged her more than the loss itself. The next day, sunlight shimmered on the wedding venue like a picture-perfect scene from a magazine. Guests laughed and posed for photos beneath white arches draped in flowers. Aria, wearing a simple pastel dress that mirrored the morning sky, stepped out of Kieran's car with shaky breaths. The world felt too bright, too loud, too aware of her presence. She wondered if everyone knew. If everyone had heard the way Rowan had walked away from her life like she never mattered. Kieran placed a steady hand on her back, not pushing her forward, just reminding her she wasn't facing this alone. The touch grounded her. When she looked at him, she realized he understood the moment better than she had expected. His eyes weren't searching the crowd, they were focused on her, making sure she didn't break. Mira, holding a small stuffed fox, smiled up at Aria, whispering, "You look like a princess." The words melted something inside her. As the ceremony began, Aria saw Rowan for the first time in 2 years. He looked almost exactly the same confident posture, same carefully styled hair. But when their eyes met from across the courtyard, something in his expression flickered. Regret? Recognition? Guilt? She didn't know. She didn't want to know. But it was later, during the reception, that everything changed. Aria stepped away from the crowd for a moment of air, and Kieran followed her. They stood beneath a row of lanterns swaying gently in the afternoon breeze. That was when Rowan's sister, Leora, the one who invited her, approached with a strange, anxious look. "I asked you to come," she said softly, because Rowan wanted to explain. He's never forgiven himself. Aria felt a cold shiver. "Explain what?" Leora hesitated, then glanced at Kieran before speaking. "He didn't leave because he stopped loving you. He left because he was diagnosed with a heart condition, one that he thought wouldn't let him live long. He didn't want to tie you to a future full of hospitals and uncertainty. He planned the wedding today because he's cleared now, fully recovered. But he's carried the guilt of walking away from you without telling the truth." The world dimmed around her. Aria's heart stuttered between anger, relief, sorrow, and disbelief. She had built her healing on the idea that Rowan didn't care. Knowing he cared too much enough to disappear broke her in a different way. But when she looked at him across the reception hall, standing next to his new bride, she realized something unexpected. She felt nothing binding her to him anymore. No longing. No ache. Just peace. Because as her gaze drifted back to Kieran, who watched her with concern and tenderness, she understood something even deeper. Kieran cared for her in the present, not in memories, not in what-ifs, but in moments like now, when her world tilted and he stood steady beside her. He didn't need explanations or apologies. He was just there. Tears streamed down Arya's cheeks as she whispered, "Why does this hurt and heal at the same time?" Kieran gently wiped a tear from her jawline. "Because you finally know the truth," he said, his voice quiet, "and now you get to choose where your heart belongs next." In that moment, Mira ran up to them and slipped her small hand into Arya's, as if claiming her place in the warmth forming between them. Arya squeezed back, overwhelmed by the simplicity of the gesture. She had come to the wedding expecting heartbreak. Instead, she found clarity, kindness, and maybe the beginning of something new. By the time the sun began to set, painting the sky with gold and rose, Arya realized she didn't need closure from Rowan. She already had it. What she needed, and found, was someone who stood with her even when they didn't know the whole story. Someone who showed up because they cared, not because they were obligated. Someone who didn't run. As Kieran walked her to the car, Mira sleepily leaning against his shoulder, Arya felt a calmness she hadn't felt in years. She wasn't sure what the future held, but she knew she wanted to be part of theirs, even if it was just in small steps at first.